All right, hello everyone. This is Jeff from BodTavern. It is Sunday, NFL game day. Ravens are kind of struggling right now, 1-3, so I thought I'd make some motivational lunch. We're gonna do some chili and some wings. So let's get started. I'm gonna show you the ingredients I'm gonna use. As far as vegetables, I'm gonna start with some celery. I like celery in my chili. It kind of models itself after the Wendy's chili. I think they have celery in it. It tastes like celery, but I'm gonna use that. A red onion, that's gonna go in as well. We're gonna dice those up and put them in. We got a couple different types of tomatoes we're gonna put in. We're gonna use a can of Rotel Original. We're gonna use some fire roasted diced. I tried to find the no salt added ones, but I couldn't find those today, so we're just gonna use the regular ones. And then probably half of this can of all-purpose crushed tomatoes. As far as vegetables, again, this is not a standard Texas chili because it's gonna have beans in it. I like a mix of black beans and dark red kidney beans. I use a store-bought chili seasoning. Again, I try to go low sodium because I can add salt later if I want to. Plus, I have a little bit of a high blood pressure thing, so I like to keep the sodium down. It's a great way to do that. And then for heat, I like to use chipotles and then pickled serranos. A friend of mine gave me a tip on these back in the day making chili, and they come out really good. Last time I made chili, I had some left over, so I froze them. So I'm probably just going to use these. Dice them up and put them in to taste. I also have some guajillo chilies. These got a little bit of heat, but not too much. We're gonna rehydrate these, seed them, and then puree them and put them in the chili to add some color and some depth, give it a little more earthy flavor. So let's get started. I'm gonna first start by hydrating these chilies. Cut it in this bag. I'm just gonna use just water, warm water, try to keep them submerged. I get a nice big bowl out here, kind of get that going. Let's see, this one here. As you can see, we're just in my regular old residential kitchen. I'm not a professional chef, so it's definitely nothing fancy. But I do like to cook a lot, and I like to make what I think is good food, okay, in a standard, regular old residential kitchen. So I invite you to do the same. Okay, so here's some just warm water. I'm gonna take 3 or 4 of these guajillo chilies. I should probably seed them first. They're easier to seed when they're dry, so let's do that. I'll take 4 of these. I like these over the ancho chilies because the ancho chilies are a little more black in color, and they really they just taste a little too earthy for me. These guajillo chilies have a little bit of fruit in them, a little bit of, not sweetness is the wrong word, but I guess it is a little sweet, and they also add a really nice red color to the chilies, so I like to do that. I'm gonna cut the stems off these and throw these away. And then we're gonna kind of put a seam in them and then take them over the trash can and knock the seeds out. This will take a few seconds, bear with me. If you don't get them all, that's fine. A couple of seeds ain't gonna hurt anybody. But as soon as you get the seeds out, just drop them in the water. They're gonna stay in there for like 10 minutes or so while we saute some other vegetables. Seed these out here, just right in the trash can. Again, you just kind of cut the stem off. They're dry, so they're easy to handle now. So just kind of cut a little seam in them, and then just scrape out the seeds. They say the seeds have the heat in them, but I don't know if I've ever really noticed that or not. Again, these aren't terribly hot chilies anyway. These do have a little bit of heat, a little bit more than the ancho chilies I mentioned before, but again, not enough to be a deal breaker. The rest of my family doesn't really like spicy food, so I try to keep it somewhat under control, but this is football chili, so it's gonna be spicy, so get over it. All right, so these are gonna rehydrate. Let's kind of clean up our cutting board here, get rid of these seeds. All right, dice up these stalks of celery. Again, I'm not a professional chef, so I have little to no knife skills, so just be careful when you're doing this. I'm just trying to get a nice little dice on these, keep your fingers out of the way. And professional chefs say keep the knife in place and move the food into the knife, but I just got to be careful because I don't have that level of skill just yet. Just going to keep it all nice and low to the board. And chefs, again, has the right to sample whenever they want. And dice on that. Red onion. Take the top and the bottom off. Chop that. And then again, I'm not a professional chef, so I'm gonna dice these the way I dice them. I generally just kind of go down the length of the onion. Now, professional chefs will kind of put a side cut in there. I don't want to cut my fingers off, so I'm not gonna do that. I just kind of keep it that. Same with the other half. I'm gonna use the whole onion. I keep telling myself I'm gonna make a batch of chili that's just for one person because, like I said, my family doesn't really like spicy food, but I just can't resist. Once I get going, I start making a full pot of chili and there's leftovers for days. So, got that going. I'm gonna come over to the pan here. I'm gonna get some olive oil going in the pan. Nice and hot. I wish I had a little more olive oil, but I'm all out right now. So I'll use that. Get that going on high heat. Okay. And then kind of get the rest of our stuff prepared. I'm gonna put the vegetables aside for a second. Show you what I'm kind of doing with the beef here. Traditionally, I use stew meat like this. I try not to find the lean version. I like a little bit of fat in it because the fat's where the flavor's at. But while I was shopping for this today, I did pick this up, but I also found sort of a manager's special chuck eye. And if you don't know about me and chuck eye, this is the secret weapon of steak. It's a cut that's right in the middle of the chuck part of the cow and the rib. So when they have a rib eye, it's on one side of this cut, and then the chuck is on the other side of this cut. This is sort of that middle ground between chuck and rib eye. So it has sort of the fattiness of chuck, which has a lot of flavor, but also has plenty of that rib eye texture to it too. So it's a really, really nice cut of steak. It's usually a few dollars cheaper than rib eye. So it's a good one to have. They don't make big portions. You're always going to find chuck eye in these sort of smaller portions, but that's okay by me. It's usually just me and my wife having dinner, so these small portions are just fine. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using the stew meat, which is a different part of the cow, I'm going to use this chuck eye. I'm going to dice it up the same way, but it's going to have that nice ribeye flavor. I can hear my pan behind me going, so I'm going to put these vegetables in. Get this going here. There we go. Got a quick run around the pan here. Add a little kosher salt. Again, just a little. I don't like a lot of salt. And, again, trying to keep the blood pressure under control. And you can always add salt later, but you can't take it out. So just go easy on the salt. Some cracked pepper. I bought these electric push button pepper mill on Amazon. I love it. I don't know why it has a little searchlight in there. That's interesting. Again, I put quite a bit of pepper in it. I want a lot of seasoning, a lot of spice to it. And I'm okay with heat. And again, pepper doesn't really add a lot of heat, but I start early in my process of getting that seasoned up. So we're gonna let that sizzle for a little bit, turn the heat down just a tad. Come back over to my cutting board here. I'm going to get these chuck eyes out. I'll show you my other little secret weapon here as far as beef goes. I was making chicken fried rice at one point, and I saw a video of a chef doing chicken fried rice, and he put chicken bouillon powder in it for a little more flavor. So I'm going to borrow the same idea, but for beef. This is beef bouillon powder. Has a little bit of MSG in it, so it's going to really kind of, what's the word, really highlight the beef flavor, but it's also a little bit of a trick. So just a little bit on both sides. Just kind of get a little extra beef flavor in this stuff. All right. Do the same thing we did over here. A little dash of salt. Okay. Some fresh cracked pepper. Try to keep it simple at this point because we're going to add that pre-bought chili seasoning, so we don't need a lot of extra spices here. Just want to keep it simple. Okay. A little kosher salt as well. Again, I'm kind of making a mess. I'm not a professional. We're going to give this a nice sort of 1-inch dice. Cube, I should say, right? Okay, this is not a lot of beef. I could use the rest of that pack, but then I fall into the same habit I always do. I always end up making a huge pot of chili for what ends up being just me eating it. So we're gonna try to keep this under control here. All right, so we got that diced up. I probably should have cut it first, then season it, but I'm just gonna kind of get all that seasoning on here. Again, my vegetables need a little turn here while I'm getting there. Yeah, getting a little bit caramelized, a little translucent on the onion. Come on, nice. All right, we're ready to go here. I'm gonna put the beef in now. Okay, just get a nice little saute on that. I'm pretty much done with the cutting board, so I'm gonna drop that in the sink. And get those flavors going. Once you get a good, a little bit of brown on the beef, some people add, half a can of beer or maybe a little tequila or something, just to give it a little kick. But I'm just gonna keep it straight today. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic powder at this point. I'm not a huge garlic fan. That might surprise some people. Just a little bit of garlic to me goes a long way. I do like roasted garlic. If I was thinking ahead, I might have put a head of garlic in the oven and roasted it, but I'm just gonna go with the garlic powder today. All right, so we're gonna get that going. Our guajillo chilies are starting to get a little soft here. It's gonna be another 5 or 10 minutes on that. So we gotta get this beef rendered out a little bit. I've also done a couple different ways of doing this. Instead of using olive oil, sometimes I'll use bacon grease. I make bacon for breakfast. I generally save the grease in a coffee cup or something, put it on the side, and then I'll use it to cook with. That bacon adds that, bacon makes everything better. So sometimes I'll start chili with bacon grease. But today, just a little olive oil. All right, so that's a good start. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna get back to our seasonings. We have this chili pre-made chili packet. I love the McCormick one. I used to use the Tex-Mex version of this, but it had quite a bit of heat in it. So again, trying to keep it family friendly. Doesn't always work out that way, but I decided to start using the low sodium regular chili mix, and it's been coming out good. I'm gonna get my table organized here. All right, so the directions on this say to use the packet and also some water. I almost never put water in while I cook. I always try to use a beef stock instead of water in a beef dish, or chicken stock instead of water in a chicken dish. So we're gonna kind of go with that idea here. Some beef stock, again, unsalted. I like to add my salt to taste and try to keep it low while I'm cooking. You do need salt when you're sauteing vegetables. It brings some of the moisture out and kind of gets all the flavors blended together. But I try to keep that, to a minimum. So, all right, so we're gonna drop in this packet. Again, I went with a little less meat in this chili than the packets suggest. Packets usually for a pound of beef. Mine wasn't quite there, I don't think. So I'm just gonna use maybe 3/4 of this packet. I'm not gonna use it all. And then they usually say a cup of water or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head. What is it? Oh, they actually use the moisture from the tomatoes. We're gonna do a little bit of both. A little splash of beef broth, or beef stock, I should say. Gotta get that back up to temperature here. And then it starts to come together pretty quickly. Nothing in here is completely cooked yet. It's just gonna all kind of go together here in a second. So I'm gonna kind of keep it moving here. Turn the heat back up a little bit. Again, we drop that beef stock in there, the temperature of the pan goes down. Gotta keep that moving. I decided not to use the stew meat. I'm gonna throw that in the freezer. And I had an extra packet of the chili seasoning. That'll go in the pantry for next time. I don't know why, I always seem to buy things in twos and then don't necessarily use them both. I like to keep my cooking area, my prep area clean in between steps if you can. All right, that's starting to get nice. All right, let's go with the tomatoes now. I got, again, a few different types of tomatoes, just to kind of review. I always put a can of Rotel in my chili. I go with the original. They do make a milder version. They do make a hotter version. I go right down the middle because I'm gonna add my heat another way. Fire roasted dice. Again, they have little blackened skins on these, just add a nice color, nice texture, nice flavor. And then again, I'm probably gonna use about half this can of crushed tomatoes, so I'll freeze the rest. So let's go with that. I also have some tomato paste. I probably should put a little tomato paste in now. Let me show you how it seems so simple, right? Just put it in and go. But what you're supposed to do with tomato paste is get it heated up before you incorporate it into the dish. So what I do is I'll kind of carve out a middle in our pan here, put a little squirt of tomato paste, and then just try to cook that right in the middle of the pan. It kind of gets some of the sharpness of that tomato paste out before it goes into with the other flavors. I forget what they call this. There's a technique that is, professional chefs use to kind of render out tomato paste before you blend it in with everything else. But that's how you do it. You just kind of carve out a little middle in your pan, put the tomato paste right in there, kind of give it a little stir, heat it up, get it bubbling a little bit, and then bring all the rest of the ingredients into it. Heat back down a little bit. I'm done with the tomato paste. Throw that in the fridge. All right, back to the tomatoes. Got my 3 cans here. Get these opened up. Again, the package of the chili seasoning said to use the juice in here too, so we're not going to drain these. We're just going to open the cans and dump them in. This is what I love about chili. It just kind of all just blends together. All right. Put that in there. Our rotel. And the amount of beef I have in there and how it's come together, I may or may not need the crushed tomatoes. Let's see how this comes together. Because the dice on the rotel tomatoes is a lot smaller than the hunts. So this might actually be saucy enough, if you know what I mean. Okay. Kind of get that going here. I like a very tomatoey chili. Some people like a little more earthy, chili-based chili. And that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, it's called chili. But I like a tomato kind of vein through the dish. I just think the tomato is the key here. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this chili seasoning. And at some point we're gonna taste this now that most of the ingredients are in there. I get a spoon out and kind of taste this. Yeah, not hot at all yet. Okay, so we got a lot of room to go there. Again, this would be right about the level of heat my family would like, which is little to none. But we're gonna go with some chipotles and some serranos here in a minute, kind of get some heat in this. I'm gonna hold off on this crushed tomato here for a second because we haven't put the beans in yet, and there's some juice and sauce with that too. So let's go ahead and do that. It may seem like I'm rushing along here. I like to get all the stuff just kind of par cooked in the pan and let it simmer, so you can certainly cook every ingredient fully before you go on to the next one, but chili is the kind of dish that you can kind of just keep on building. So here's some dark red kidney beans, get them all, and some black beans. Again, I went with no salt added on both of these. I know it sounds like I'm redundant there, but again, salt is something that isn't terribly good for you. It certainly tastes good, of course, and brings out other flavors, but it's not terribly healthy, and you can always add it later. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to need the tomato sauce here, the crushed tomatoes, I mean, because this is going to have enough broth and sauce and juice as it is. So I'm going to bring the heat up a little more and let this kind of come to a boil, come to a simmer, and then we'll start thinking about heat. Let's go back to these guajillo chilies. Let me rinse off my cutting board here. Show you what we got here. They've been rehydrating here for about 10 minutes or so. Probably could go longer, but we'll be all right. I kind of want to stick blend these, kind of puree them, but I think I like the texture of this chili, so I think I might just kind of julienne them, cut them real thin into strips. Rinse off this knife here. And again, very carefully. Again, you could put these in a food processor, blend them up, puree them, and put a little beef stock in there with them to loosen it up. But I think I want to get some of this texture. Okay, cook this through. Again, be very careful here because this is sort of a tougher material, so it's gonna fight back a little bit. So don't cut yourself. Just gonna get a dice on it, a little julienne, a little dice, and I think I'm just gonna add that just like that. Okay. And again, these are guajillo chilies. They're a little fruitier, a little spicier than the ancho chilies that I've used before. Again, we're starting to build that heat, a little bit of layers of heat here. I'm gonna let that come to a simmer. It might take a few minutes, so this may be a good spot to edit, but I'll keep an eye on it. I also want to let you know we're going to do sort of a double dish today. It is football, by the way. Go Ravens. So we're going to make some wings too. Let me get started on that. Let me bring those out. I put those in the fridge. Let me show you kind of an easy way to get sort of a restaurant quality buffalo wing. Again, a couple little tricks that I've kind of picked up. I am definitely a wing fan. I like them all shapes, sizes, and flavors. Again, I sort of hunt for the day-old ones, the manager special. You get them half price usually. This is just some wingettes. I'm gonna kind of get these in a bowl. Let me show you a couple of shortcuts here. I usually buy these in the family pack and cut them myself with a cleaver, you know, but this was just easier. And again, they were the manager special. You buy them the right day, you get them for half price, so I like that. All right, so just those in a bowl. Now we could, you know, kind of do the standard, you know, season them with salt and pepper, but I have another way to go here. When you have wings in a restaurant, they generally ask you want ranch or blue cheese. So what I decided to do is just get some dry ranch seasoning. And the spicy one, you can almost, at this point, once you have this on there and you cook them in the air fryer, that's the other sort of thing I love about my homemade wings. They come out just like the restaurant in the air fryer. Because we're doing the spicy ranch, for the rest of my family, it doesn't really like a lot of heat. They're good to go once they come out of the air fryer. Again, I like to sauce them with either buffalo sauce or I'm gonna do kind of a special sauce today, I'll show you. But just maybe half that packet. Again, I don't have a lot of wings here. Kind of coat them, maybe a little bit more. All right, I'm done with that. Again, just a little dusting of that ranch seasoning. And then we're gonna use an air fryer. I have the Ninja air fryer. Had it for a couple years. Love it. Again, wings come out perfect in it. I make my own beef jerky in it. It has a dehydrate mode. I love making that. And then again, just quick, instead of frying things, air fryer implies it, you know, fries for there. So it does it a lot healthier, a lot lower fat, a lot more convenient. So I'm gonna kind of spray the pan with a high heat, an avocado spray. Avocado is, again, a high heat oil, doesn't burn as much. I use this on the grill too sometimes outside, the Blackstone. Again, high heat, non-stick spray. Grapeseed also works very good for that. That's what I season my Blackstone with, is grapeseed oil. Olive oil is just has a much lower smoke point. It can burn. All right, so I've got my wings. I've dusted them with that spicy ranch seasoning. I'm gonna put them right in the pan, get it down to one even layer if I can. Go. And into the air fryer. As far as temperature here, I'm gonna go 390 for 23 minutes. Good to go. While that's cooking, I'll come back to my chili. Again, all these flavors are starting to come together nice. It's got a good simmer on it. We'll lower the heat a little bit. We don't want to burn it. You know, we want to just kind of keep it bubbling. Give it a taste while we're here. Yeah. Love it. Okay, got all that going. Let's do some more heat in the chili, and then we'll sauce up these wings. I'll show you what I do there. Again, I'm going to keep this convenient. Use the same cutting board, just rinse it off. With the same knife, rinse it off. If I was cutting chicken or pork, I'd probably, you know, wash it with soap and water, but I've just done vegetables and beef on it, so I think it's pretty good to go. And again, I would normally open a new can of pickled serranos, but I had some left over from last time I made this, so I've got some in the freezer. Just gonna kind of take 3 or 4 of these out of here. I also love when you buy pickled things, they usually have carrots and onions in there to kind of sweeten the heat of the serranos. These are almost like candy to me, these chicken slices, or the carrot chips here. All right, so pickled serranos, these are frozen, so they should cut up nice and easy. Take the stems off the top. I'm gonna leave the seeds in these. I mean, I usually leave the seeds in them when I have them fresh too. I like the heat of these. And again, the pickled ones, a friend of mine from back in the day, a former student, Caitlin, if you're out there, you know I'm talking about you, had an award-winning chili recipe, and she recommended pickled serranos. And I have to admit, it was the magic ingredient. They're very, very good. All right. And then for the last layer of heat, what I like to do is some of these diced chipotles. The La Costeña brand has a lot of different varieties of chipotles. I like the whole ones too, just dice them up and throw them in. This bottle that's pre-diced also has a little bit of acidity to it, a little bit of pickling flavor. They're not pickled, but this particular jar, when you buy this in the store, has a little bit of that flavor to it. So a little goes a long way. So I'm gonna kind of crack that open, maybe go with a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Again, if you like a lot of heat, go a tablespoon or maybe a little more if you like it. It's all up to you. All right, so my chili right now, this is pretty much done. It's just gonna simmer for as long as it takes my wings to cook. And then that's about 20 minutes from now. So they're all gonna come out ready to go all together. Sometimes I add a can of corn to my chili. Again, I'm not going traditional or competition chili. I'm sort of breaking some rules here, but I'll show you sometimes. I'm in the pantry here. Sometimes, I'm not gonna do it today, I'm gonna leave it sort of more traditional. Sometimes I'll throw a can of these Summer Crisp Mexican style corn in there. It's got some green peppers, red peppers, a little bit of seasoning, and then the corn, which adds some sweetness to the chili. So sometimes I'll put this in. Today I'm not gonna do that, but this is an option for you if that's your thing. All right, let's make some wing sauce. And we're not gonna go traditional buffalo today, we're gonna go with something a little different. One of my favorite wing sauces that I kind of came up with myself. I think I saw it in a diet cookbook somewhere, one of those cook this, not that. I don't know if you've ever seen those before. They're sort of a style of book that's out there. It was a sriracha honey wing sauce. I'm gonna do a little twist on this. And actually, I'm kind of getting a little brave here. This is the first time I've ever tried it this way. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the sriracha as the base of my wing sauce. And I usually put some lime juice and honey in it. So I have honey there. I didn't bring lime juice here for a second because I'm gonna tell you why. I wanted to try some mandarin orange juice instead. So this is gonna be a sriracha honey orange wing glaze. I also love to put ginger in it. I usually buy this Spice World brand. It's pre-minced and it's just in a squeeze bottle. It's very convenient. So I usually have a bottle of this for all my Chinese cooking, and I'm gonna put some of this in the wing sauce. I already have a bottle open though, so I'm gonna use that one, I think. Search here, there it is. All right, so let me show you how this is gonna go together here. I think I have half a bottle of sriracha too. Yeah, there we go. All right, so rather than open the new bottles, I'll go with what I have. Okay, so we're gonna start this sauce with a base of sriracha. Again, good amount of heat in sriracha. It's got some fruitiness to it. It's a good, sort of Chinese hot sauce, barbecue sauce somewhere in the middle. Give our chili a little stir while we're here. Okay, I'm gonna go with some ginger. Okay, pop this off and maybe half a tablespoon of ginger. Now this is the thing I've never tried before, but we're gonna go with today. We're gonna take the juice of a can of mandarin oranges. Just kind of sprinkle this in there. These are mandarin oranges in light syrup, so it should be kind of a sugary kind of kick to it with some orange flavor. Okay, kind of spilled some here. I'll get rid of that. Keep my workstation as clean as I can. Again, I'm not gonna use it all yet. Since it's the first time I've tried this, we're gonna kind of go easy and see where we go. Get a little whisk out. Turn my chili down. It's going pretty good here. All right, whisk this together here. Okay, so right now, notice that the syrup in the mandarin oranges isn't as thick as I would like. That's why I also kept the honey out just in case. We're gonna thicken this up with a little bit of honey. Okay, the texture and the flavor are important to me. I like a wing sauce that sticks to the wings. This is gonna be not gonna be a cooked sauce. I'm not really worried about cooking sugar and burning sugar. This is just gonna be a glaze that goes on the wings when they're done. It could cook. I have done that before where I'll glaze them with this sauce and then throw them in the oven to finish. But I think today we're just gonna keep it simple. So let's taste that. Yeah. Again, the sriracha has a little bit of heat on the back. This mandarin orange juice is really, really tasty. Add a little bit more of that. And again, because that thins it out, and add a little more of the honey. Ginger's there, just kind of add a little Asian flair to it. This is gonna be really good. And bonus, I've got these mandarin oranges for a little snack. All right, so that's my wing sauce. I'm gonna toss the wings in this when we're done, and maybe throw some sesame seed on it at the end. It's finished for a nice presentation. Yeah, I'm that kind of cook. I like to try to do a restaurant presentation even with food at home. It's just fun. I may have said it in another podcast, but cooking is one of my favorite things to do. I really do enjoy putting things together and trying new things. So glad you can tag along. All right, so we got about another 15 minutes or so until the wings are done. Chili simmering, got my wing sauce ready to go. I think I'm gonna hit pause on everything and come back in a few minutes and put it all together. So stick around. All right, coming down the last 10 seconds here in the air fryer. Yeah, the wings went in at 390 degrees for 23 minutes. I usually do, if I do a full family pack of wings, it's usually maybe 2.5 batches. Again, 390 degrees, 23 minutes. Pop these out, see they're nice and crispy. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in a bowl here, sauce them up, I'll show you how I'm gonna plate them. And again, I'm kind of a food nerd when it comes to plating too. I've worked in and around restaurants for a long time, and seen a lot of fantastic chefs and what they do and how they do it. And again, I'm not in the market to become a chef, but I do like good food, and I like to follow some of those techniques. All right, so we've got our wings in the bowl here. We've got our sauce. What we're gonna do is just kind of drizzle some of the sauce over the wings. Okay, probably won't need all of it, but let's see where we go here. Doesn't need to be swimming in it. Okay, we'll give that a shake. We'll toss. And we'll coat it. Probably would want to get the sauce a little bit thicker. Again, I was hoping that mandarin syrup would be a little more syrupy, but it wasn't. It was pretty watery, but delicious, but not quite the texture I was going for. Okay, so I got those sauced up. Kind of plate them here. Dish. Portion them out however you want. This is a dad bod sized portion for me. Kind of get us into halftime here. Okay. And then just to finish, I'm gonna go with a little white sesame seed. Yes, I'm a food dork here. It keeps on coming. A little black sesame seed. Pinch here. A couple pinches. And some parsley. Get this cracked open here. There you go. So these are my sriracha, honey, mandarin orange, lime, glazed wings. I have to come up with a better name for it. Maybe we'll just call them Dad Bod Tavern wings. This is my favorite sauce. I usually use just lime juice. This is the first time I've tried the orange in it, but it's going to be delicious. So Dad Bod Tavern wings. There you go. As far as the chili goes, again, once the wings are done, this has been simmering for 20 minutes, so I kind of use the air fried wings as a timer for the simmer here. Turn the heat off here. Chili's ready to go too. I got a couple ladles of this. I'm not a big fan of doing dishes, so I use my same tasting spoon as my spoon for lunch. Now, a lot of people like sour cream on their chili. I'm not a huge sour cream fan, but if you like it, knock yourself out. I'm just going to do some cheese crumbles. Okay. If I had some green onion or diced red onion would be nice on top of this. This is a Kraft 3 cheese, Monterey Jack, Colby, and cheddar. Maybe just a little bit more because I do like this cheese. Again, I'm not a real big fan of raw onion either, but if you like diced onion, the red onion we used earlier would be a perfect, nice, colorful addition to that. So certainly recommend that. And there you have it. This is going to be my football lunch, bowl of chili, and some Dad Bod Tavern wings. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Send us a note if you have some success with it, or you want to try a twist on it. Again, the beauty of cooking is you can make it any way you want. These are just suggestions. You can steer left, steer right at any point. Do what you like, more or less or something. And let me know what you come up with. All right. Have a great day, guys. Go Ravens.